Hi people. Quarantine. Now if you're old enough to remember what they did with people who had leprosy back in the 1800s and the early 1900s, they quarantined them on islands as far away from the rest of the population as possible. And they kept them there. Now, this virus that's floating around the world now is highly contagious. So they should be doing a similar thing to the people that get infected in their own countries. Either find an island to put them until they test negative, or a quarantine station somewhere away from the general population, so we don't have lockdowns, the people's lives destroyed, businesses destroyed, and just utter chaos. There is no reason at all to lock parts of cities down, or in some cases the whole city and half the countryside. If you quarantine people the proper way, how it should be, either on an island somewhere or out in the middle of nowhere. Now, all along the eastern part of Australia, especially the northeast of Australia, there are heaps of islands where they could quarantine people away from the cities. They wouldn't have to have any lockdowns. As soon as a person's detected, they're gone, until such time as they are cleared. People coming into the country, 14-day quarantine, they're on an island, they're not in city hotels where the virus can escape from. And the people that are in charge of the quarantine are stationed there for a month. They have a month on and a month off. They don't come in and out like they have been. I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. As far as here in WA, well, we have Rockness Island. And why can't we turn that into a quarantine station? Right? All the facilities are there. There's a hotel there, there's cabins and everything else. If the state government have to take that over as a quarantine area, well, they'll have to pay the people that own it, but I mean, we're paying these hotels now, or people have to pay for it themselves, or however it works. But, I mean, money is not a problem. It's destroying people's livelihoods, that's the problem. And businesses. Huge ramifications, not just now, but going forward. Because all those people that lose their businesses, you can guarantee owe money to the banks. And 9 times out of 10, small businesses have mortgaged their homes against their business, so likelihoods that they'll get those repossessed and everything. The implications are just huge for anybody that's got a small business. Even medium-sized businesses. The cost to society is astronomical. And that's what each and every one of us that are still working, that's what we have to realise. Every time there's a shutdown or a lockdown, it just costs normal people that are trying to make a living, it just destroys them. You have broken marriages, kids don't know whether they're coming or going, don't know whether they're going to go to school next week because the parents have to stop paying their school fees because if they go to private schools or whatever because they can't afford it, they've gone broke. They lose their cars, just never ending. Shocking. All because ultimately it comes back to the government are not quarantining people how they should be quarantined, away from the general population, out of the cities altogether. I mean, it's just crazy to say that you have to be locked up in your home, you can't go 5 kilometres away from your home. You're only allowed out for 2 hours to go and exercise or whatever. You've got to wear a mask, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Unbelievable. Well, there's absolutely no reason whatsoever to have to do that. If the government quarantine people how they should. And that's get them away from everywhere. So Rockness Island for Western Australia is probably a brilliant idea. And I think it could have been used as a quarantine station before. It was a prison camp for Aboriginals years ago, probably back in the late 1800s, I think. But I'm sure it could have been a quarantine station earlier as well. But that's a perfect situation for us in WA. And if anybody gets seriously ill, well, we've got choppers that can chop them back to the hospital in no time at all. Not a problem. Catch you, people.